No matter who wins the upcoming presidential election in November, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, BlackRock's next moves will surprise everyone. That being said, the United States has a big problem right now, and that is its debt. Taking care of all this debt is getting so pricey. It's beginning to grow faster than GDP. We don't want to be there. And in today's video, we'll look at how BlackRock fits into this and what we need to focus on right now, since I know a lot of you don't know much about XRP, Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies. Let's get started. Please click the like button so that everyone can see this movie. The US government will have to deal with some kind of debt problem no matter who wins the next election. I'm worried about how that reaction will be no matter who wins. For example, when Trump had a major economic crisis due to the lockdown policy and COVID-19, he and his administration turned to Larry Fink of BlackRock. Fink put in place what some researchers have called the going direct reset, which was a way to put money from QE directly into the hands of private businesses instead of government agencies, similar to what had been done before. That may have led to a huge move of wealth, and BlackRock didn't really use that money to help Main Street at all. Among other things, they bought shares in their own ETFs with it. Then there's Kamala. Her whole economic team is mostly made up of former BlackRock leaders. That was also true during the Biden era. It's possible that BlackRock, which was a big part of coming up with the bailouts during the 2008 economic crisis while Obama was in office, will also be coming up with the solution for whatever the next economic crisis is, no matter who wins the election. Take a look at the policies of the people they turn to in times of trouble or the people who run their economic team. That seems more and more possible. That being said, another thing that worries me about an impending economic problem is that I believe there will be a big push to give American consumers programmable money and big money. And so, of course, a lot of people have been worried about central bank digital currencies or CBDCs for years now. But there are also things from the private sector, like stable coins, that are just as customizable, trackable, and large as CBDCs. So I think it's very likely that if there is a big debt crisis or some other kind of crisis that makes it hard for regular Americans to buy things, people will try to switch to one of those two types of programmable. Surveillable money. So, if Kamala wins, we might see a CBDC or something. Trump, on the other hand, seems to support stable metals. He did that not long ago in his speech at the Bitcoin meeting in the beginning of the year. In theory, stable coins can be programmed, watched, and are the same size as CBDCs. As other people have pointed out, I believe those put our financial privacy and, in the end, our financial freedom at risk. People shouldn't just focus on CBDCs, though. They should also look at these other digital currencies that might be able to give people the same Orwellian benefits when they issue and use them. And some of the most well-known stable coins, like Circle, work closely with BlackRock. BlackRock has a small stake in these companies and has said in CC papers that they can use stable coins to change the price of Bitcoin, for example. I guess that the spending power of us consumers is going down. But a lot of this cash, at a time when schools were locked down and the economy wasn't doing much, they get all this money. For example, BlackRock asset managers get all this money, but instead of helping Main Street, they go buy up all the assets. One thing they do is buy shares in their own ETFs, and basically a huge amount of money changed hands during COVID. If you look at the numbers, you'll see that the top 1% of Americans did very well during COVID, but the rest of us did not. That might have given some people a boost. We're now dealing with inflation and a lot of other economic problems because of the policies that led to them. So I would say that BlackRock kind of controlled these transfers of wealth that helped Wall Street more than Main Street. It looks like there will be another crisis soon, and BlackRock is going to do pretty much the same thing no matter what policy they help make. The people should really talk about why BlackRock has so much power over what the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department do. But really, when it comes to us COVID fiscal policy, which, by the way, started under Trump but continued through a lot of the Biden administration, why is this Wall Street asset manager so involved with the development of U.S. fiscal policy? Again, Biden's top economic people are former BlackRock executives, which hasn't always been the case when BlackRock is involved with economic policy that's supposed to help regular Americans. This is something that most Americans don't even know took place. So I agree with most of what she said. The only thing I don't agree with her on is how she said that stable coins and CBDC are basically the same amount of evil. Okay, I don't think stable coins are nearly as bad as CBDCs because they are controlled by private entities. And those private entities or public companies can be bought out and gotten to do what you want, but I'd much rather have CBDCs. It's better for these kinds of projects. And stable coins to be regulated by a company than by the government, since we've seen how easily money can be stolen by governments, and because some governments are very interested in power and influence while companies are usually more focused on finding solutions. So I'd rather have someone in charge who is focused on finding solutions and trying to be efficient than someone who is trying to take power away from you, the people. I don't trust the government very much. That's just what I personally think. Besides that, though, I know a lot of your questions will be about how we can fix these problems, and that is a great question. Take part in decentralized ecosystems that are not part of the regular financial business. That's what I think is the best place to start. Having Bitcoin is great, having XRP is even better, and having CASP is also great. If you can afford to, don't put as much money into the regular economy. Instead, put your money into these small economies that have a clear future. That seems like a good start. Another thing I want to talk about is that there is a great trading battle going on right now on Margex that I want all of you to join. Another thing I'd like to say is that I recently turned a couple of my XRP positions into short positions. These jobs will be open for a long time, but now is a great time to start selling XRP short. Make sure you're in my chat. If you want to join Margex, use the link below. Using my Margex link to trade will also get you into this awesome competition going on right now. If you win, you'll have access to this huge prize pool that you see on the screen right now. The prize pool is growing every day. All of that XRP will be yours just for trading through my Margex link. Now let's trade and make some money together. Then we'll go back to the movie because Whitney Webb has some more important things to say. Pay attention. I believe that is a real and important problem. And I think the fact that the US government has so much debt shows that both the executive office and Congress are bad at managing money. It's been going on for a long time and not much has been done about it. And really, the US government's debt has just exploded since 9/11 compared to the decades before. Many of those problems are caused by the fact that the US has been involved in many wars around the world, some of which have not been officially declared. These wars were fought to grow the military empire and keep its power and dominance. In the past, a lot of that was also clearly linked to the dollar's dominance. The petrodollar structure, which we now know was pretty much doomed to fail. I work with Mark Goodwin, who wrote a book about this idea of the Bitcoin dollar scheme a few years ago. And the idea that the US government might use Bitcoin to make a system similar to the petrodollar system, since most people buy Bitcoin by first buying dollars. And in that case, you'd be creating artificial demand for dollars to buy some kind of energy commodity or energy asset. And Bitcoin is kind of an energy asset at the end of the day. This is basically an attempt to make the same system work with Bitcoin instead of oil. Most of the Bitcoin in the world is held in the US, and the US government is one of the biggest users of Bitcoin in the world. I believe that. Some work is being done to make that happen. This was kind of implied in Trump's speech at the Bitcoin conference a few months ago. He was saying that's kind of what he thought Bitcoin could be used for. But I also think that tying Bitcoin to the US dollar instead of using it too. Challenge the US dollar, fiat, or debt-based currency or monetary system makes things a lot more complicated when it comes to Bitcoin's original goal, which was to stop irresponsible fiscal and central bank policy. It's clear that if you link Bitcoin to the US dollar, Bitcoin can't really be a threat to those things anymore. In that case, Bitcoin could actually support that kind of foolish fiscal policy, since it would be used as a sink for hyperinflation at the end of the day. To put it simply, in this kind of system, if you were to hyperinflate the dollar, the price of Bitcoin would certainly go up in US dollars, but it doesn't. Bitcoin itself isn't affected by inflation. That means that people who have Bitcoin would really gain in that case. But say people who hold dollars, they might not always do that. But there's also an effort to solve this problem by adding stablecoins, which are digital dollars that buy US treasuries and pay off the US government debt at the same time. This is Mark Goodwin's work, and it's kind of like the Bitcoin dollar scheme. Again, he probably knows a lot more about how it works and how to explain it than I do. But from what I hear, you would need these stable dollar coins and a way to pay off all of our debt. As a result, there are currently efforts to tokenize real-world assets, including what is called natural capital or parts of larger ecosystems, with the goal of using them as a limited supply store of wealth.